You know, those amazing games that somehow fly under the radar and don't get the attention they truly deserve. These are the kinds of games that might not have big marketing campaigns or millions of players, but they offer something special. In this video, we're going to explore some of these lesser-known but fantastic games that you might not have heard of. So without wasting more time, let's get into the video. El Shaddai Ascension of the Metatron is an action-adventure game developed by Acquire and published by Square Enix. The original version was released in 2011 for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, and the HD remaster was released in 2016 for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. The game is based on the biblical Book of Enoch and follows a celestial being named Enoch. Enoch's mission is to climb to the heavens and stop the fallen angels from causing a flood that would wipe out humanity. It's a unique and captivating story that blends biblical themes with intense action. The gameplay is a mix of hack-and-slash combat and platforming, but it's so fluid and intuitive that it never feels repetitive. You can steal weapons from your enemies, and each one has its own style and feel. The spear is fast and precise, the gauntlets are brutal and heavy, and the arch lets you attack from a distance. The HD remaster is a great way to experience this game, especially if you missed it the first time around. The updated visuals make the art style pop even more, and the gameplay feels smooth and responsive. It's clear that the developers put a lot of love into this remaster, and it shows in every detail. Vanquish is a third-person shooter developed by Platinum Games, which is the same studio behind the amazing games like Bayonetta and Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. It was released back in 2010, but even today, it feels fresh and exciting. The game is set in a futuristic world where humanity is on the brink of extinction, and you play as Sam Gideon, who is a government agent equipped with a high-tech suit called the Augmented Reaction Suit. This suit is the heart of the game, and it's what makes Vanquish stand out from other shooters. Sam's suit allows you to boost across the battlefield at insane speeds, slide into cover, and even slow down time. It's like playing a mix of Gears of War and The Matrix. This time-slowing feature called Augmented Reaction Shift is incredibly fun and adds a strategic layer to the gameplay. You can dodge bullets, line up perfect shots, and outmaneuver your enemies in ways that feel both cool and satisfying. Vanquish flew under the radar when it first came out, and even now, it's often overlooked. The campaign is around 6 to 8 hours long, but every minute is packed with action. And once you finish the story, you'll probably want to go back and replay it on the harder difficulty or try to beat your high scores in the challenge missions. The game's replay value is high, and the satisfaction of mastering the augmented reaction shift mechanic is incredibly rewarding. The Dishwasher Vampire Smile is a side-scrolling beat-em-up game developed by WayForward Technologies and released in 2012 for the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and PC. The game is a prequel to The Dishwasher Dead Samurai, which was released in 2009 for Xbox 360 and introduces players to the world of a silent assassin who wields a variety of deadly weapons to take down his foes. You can chain together combos using a variety of weapons from katanas and chainsaws to guns and even a guitar. The game encourages creativity in how you take down enemies, and pulling off a flawless combo feels incredibly rewarding. The difficulty is no joke though. The game challenges you to master its mechanics, but it never feels unfair. Every death feels like a lesson, pushing you to get better. The game uses a hand-drawn black and white aesthetic with splashes of red for blood and other effects. The animations are smooth, and the enemy designs are both creepy and creative. The soundtrack, composed by James Silver, is a mix of heavy metal and haunting melodies that perfectly complements the action on screen. Despite its quality, the Dishwasher Vampire Smile didn't get the attention it deserved. Maybe it was because it was released as an Xbox Live Arcade title, or maybe it was just overshadowed by bigger games of the time. Whatever the reason, it's a shame because this game is a masterpiece in its own right. Released back in 2010, this game flew under the radar for a lot of people, but for those who played it, it left a lasting impression. The game is loosely based on the classic Chinese novel Journey to the West, but it's set in a post-apocalyptic world. You play as Monkey, who is a rugged, muscular guy with a lot of attitude, and you're accompanied by a young woman named Trip. Monkey is forced to help Trip because she's put a slave headband on him. Monkey and Trip start off as reluctant partners, but their relationship grows over time. The writing is sharp, and the voice acting is top-notch. Andy Serkis, the guy who played Gollum in The Lord of the Rings, voices Monkey, and he brings so much personality to the role. Trip, on the other hand, is smart and resourceful, and you can't help but root for her. By the end of the game, I genuinely cared about these characters and their journey. The game isn't perfect, of course. Some of the platforming can feel a bit repetitive, and the combat, while fun, doesn't have the depth of other action games. But these are minor flaws in an otherwise fantastic experience.
Hey, that's fine. I'm having some real fun out here, you know?
Okay.
Binary Domain is a third-person shooter developed by Sega and released back in 2012. The game is set in a futuristic Tokyo where robots have become a part of everyday life. But things take a dark turn when these robots start going rogue, and it's up to you and your squad to find out why. The enemy robots are designed in a way that makes combat incredibly fun. You can shoot off their limbs, blow off their heads, and watch them scramble to keep fighting. It's chaotic, but in the best way possible. The precision and variety in how you can take down these robots make each encounter feel fresh and exciting. The gameplay is not just about shooting robots, although that part is incredibly satisfying. The game introduces a unique trust system where your actions and decisions affect how your squad mates feel about you. If you're a good leader, they'll have your back. If you mess up, they might not trust you. And that can change how the story unfolds. Now, the game isn't perfect. Some of the voice acting can be a bit cheesy and the dialogue doesn't always land. There's also a weird romance subplot that feels a little forced, but honestly, those flaws just add to the charm. Binary Domain doesn't take itself too seriously, and that makes it even more fun to play. The game's quirks and imperfections give it a unique personality that you can't help but enjoy.
Piece of shit has my case.
Released in 2009 by Artificial Mind and Movement and published by Bethesda, Wet is a gritty, over-the-top action game that feels like a love letter to grindhouse films and Tarantino-style storytelling. From the moment the game starts, you can tell it's something special. The visuals are gritty, with a grindhouse-style filter that makes everything look like it's straight out of a 70s action movie. The colors are washed out, the screen has scratches and film grain, and the action is over the top in the best way possible. The game throws you into the shoes of Ruby Malone, who is an acrobatic maniac with a sharp tongue and an even sharper pair of swords. The game encourages you to flip, slide, and jump off walls like you're in some kind of hyper-stylized action movie. The combat is a mix of gunplay and sword fighting, and it's all about keeping the momentum going. You can slow down time mid-air to line up shots, slide across the ground while shooting, or even perform crazy acrobatic moves to take out enemies. It came out in 2009, a year packed with heavy hitters, and it just kind of got lost in the shuffle. The studio behind it, Artificial Mind and Movement, shut down not long after, and a sequel never happened. Despite that, Wet remains a hidden gem that more people should know about.
Freak weirdos around every corner.
When it comes to first-person shooters, most people think of big names like Call of Duty, Halo, or Doom. But there's one game that often flies under the radar, and it's a shame because it's an absolute blast to play. I'm talking about Bulletstorm. From the moment I started playing, Bulletstorm felt different. The game throws you into the boots of Grayson Hunt, who is a space pirate with a bad attitude and a thirst for revenge. The story isn't going to win any awards for depth, but it's packed with humor, over-the-top action, and a sense of fun that's hard to resist. Grayson and his crew are crude, loud, and unapologetically ridiculous, and that's part of the charm. The dialogue is filled with profanity and cheesy one-liners that made me laugh out loud, even if they were a bit over the top. The game doesn't take itself too seriously, and neither should you. It's the kind of game where you can just turn off your brain and enjoy the ride. Sadly, Bulletstorm didn't get the attention it deserved when it first came out in 2011. It was overshadowed by bigger titles, and while it has a cult following, it's still not as well known as it should be. If you're looking for a game that's a lot of fun and doesn't take itself too seriously, Bulletstorm is definitely worth checking out. It's a hidden gem that more people should be playing. Asura's Wrath was developed by CyberConnect 2 and published by Capcom, and it came out in 2012 for PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. Despite its age, this game is a true gem that deserves more attention. At its core, Asura's Wrath is a story-driven action game, but it feels more like an interactive anime or a cinematic epic. The game follows Asura, who's a demigod been betrayed by his fellow deities and stripped of his powers. His wife is killed, his daughter is taken from him, and he's cast down to Earth. Fueled by pure rage, he fights his way back to the heavens to take revenge on those who wronged him. Despite his rage, Asura is a character you can't help but root for. His love for his daughter Mitra is the heart of the story, and it's what drives him to keep fighting, even when the odds are impossible. I found myself genuinely invested in his struggle, and there were moments that actually gave me chills. The gameplay is a mix of quick-time events, button-mashing combat, and cinematic sequences. Some people find the quick-time events repetitive, but for me, they added to the intensity of the experience. It felt like I was actively participating in an anime, and the timing-based actions kept me on the edge of my seat. Shadows of the Damned Hella is an action horror game that was originally developed by Grasshopper Manufacture and published by Capcom back in 2011 for PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. The Hella remastered version, which came out in 2024, brings this dark and stylish game to modern platforms like PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. The original game was a brainchild of Suda51 and Shinji Mikami, who is the genius behind the Resident Evil series. The music is by Akira Yamaoka, who's famous for his work on Silent Hill. This combination of talent ensures that the game is both visually and audibly stunning. You play as a demon hunter named Garcia Hotspur, who is as tough as he is stylish. One day, Garcia's girlfriend Paula is kidnapped by the Lord of the Underworld, Fleming, and taken to hell. Garcia isn't about to let that slide, so he grabs his demonic gun Johnson and heads straight into the underworld to save her. Johnson isn't just any ordinary gun. It talks and has its own personality. The story is a mix of dark horror and over-the-top humor. Garcia is a classic tough guy, but Johnson's constant jokes and weird transformations keep things lighthearted. The game doesn't take itself too seriously, which makes it a lot of fun to play. Bloody Spell is an action-packed combat game developed by a Chinese studio, has flown under the radar for many gamers since its release in January 2022. If you've played games like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta, you'll feel right at home here. The story in Bloody Spell is pretty straightforward and might not stick with you long after you've finished the game. The main character is on a quest to find his sister, but the narrative is so light that most players will probably focus more on the action than the plot. One of the standout features of Bloody Spell is the ability to switch weapons mid-combo. You can switch weapons mid-combo, which adds a layer of strategy and style to every fight. Each weapon has its own unique set of moves, and you can unlock magic attacks to mix things up even more. While the magic attacks are definitely cool, you might find yourself sticking to your favorite weapon because it just feels so satisfying to use. Instead of earning traditional XP, you collect blood from defeated enemies. These red orbs act as currency, which you can use to upgrade your skills at vendors scattered throughout the game. Bloody Spell might not have the most compelling story, but it more than makes up for it with its fast-paced, satisfying combat and unique upgrade system. If you're looking for an action-packed game that will keep you engaged from start to finish, Bloody Spell is definitely worth a try. And that's it for today's list of great games not many people know about. I hope you found a few new titles to check out and maybe even add to your playlist. Let me know in the comments if you've played any of these games or if there's a hidden gem you think deserves some love. Don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.